What is driving the boom that's happening in Kingston? Am I correct in calling it a boom, I should say?
I would definitely say there's a boom. I would say in the last about 5 years, we have not seen in as many years the amount of construction going on. You drive around Kingston, every single corner has a different development going up, whether it's a high rise, whether it's an apartment complex, townhouse complex, they are all over the place.
Hello, Throp family, and welcome back to another video podcast episode. If this is your first time visiting, my name is Winthrop Wellington, and I am the host of On Deck with Throp podcast, where we have meaningful discussions all about Jamaica. And today we have a very special guest with us as we continue our Kingston real estate series. We have Miss Lorraine Levy, who is a real estate broker here in Kingston, and we're going to learn a little bit, maybe a lot, about the real estate boom here in Kingston. So with that, I would like to welcome Lorraine to the podcast. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So to start with, can you give us a little bit of a background on yourself, where you're from originally, and then also about your real estate business brokerage here in Kingston?
Hello, Throppers. Sorry for the interruption here. I just wanted to put in a quick disclaimer, and that this video was actually shot in February of 2022. However, everything discussed in this video is still relevant to today. Over a year later, the information that Lorraine gives us is absolutely amazing and really, really insightful. And I already say it in the video as we go along, but if you want any further information and working with Valerie Levy and Associates, our contact in Lorraine, her contact information is below, as well as their website. So with no further ado, please enjoy the rest of this interview with Lorraine Levy.
Our brokerage firm is called Valerie Levy and Associates. We've been in Jamaica for approximately nearly 40 years. I'm a real estate dealer. I've been in real estate for 28 years. My mother, Valerie, started Valerie Levy and Associates nearly 40 years ago. And we are locally owned and operated. We're all Jamaican. We're all born and bred in Jamaica.
Awesome.
And we have a large firm, almost 50 agents island-wide. And we're a very family business, very family oriented. We think about ethics first. My mother, Valerie Levy, was one of the founding members of the real estate board, as well as she was instrumental in licensing and getting all the different permits and so forth in Jamaica, and as well as at the real estate board, the RAJ, which is the Realtors Association of Jamaica, and we have both been presidents of those associations. We've taught the real estate course up at UTEC as well, both
Amazing.
of us. And we have just a strong history of real estate in Jamaica.
Amazing. And do you have other family members that are also in the business as well?
Yes, my mother, Valerie Levy, my father, Desmond Levy, my brother, David Levy. He runs the valuation department here at Valerie Levy and Associates. And I am the CEO and broker of record, qualifying director, and I do the real estate division.
Okay, wonderful. So super family, multi-generational business.
Definitely.
Okay, I can definitely appreciate that, being in a family business as well. So with that, what does it take to become a real estate agent?
You have to have qualifications to be able to do the real estate course up at UTEC.
Okay.
The REB has it online, the real estate board, the prerequisites needed to sign up to do the course. And then the course takes, you can either do it full-time or part-time. It can take several months. At the end of licensing, you have to then attach with a broker. So what I tell all associates and all agents who come to interview with us is to go and interview with different companies, see what packages they're offering. And you have to be licensed with only one of those brokers.
Okay.
You can't be multi-licensed with different. You're by virtue of having your license in Jamaica, you're able to rent and sell all island. But it's just for Jamaica. It's not for the States or Canada or anywhere else in the world. And then you start your licensing period with a broker. It renews every single year.
I see. And I've had the privilege of working with 3 of your real estate agents, in Margaret, Noel, and Tanya, and they've all been fantastic, super accommodating. What does it take, and what do you look for, I would say, in real estate agents to be a part of the Valerie Levy and Associates family?
Well, the 3 that you've mentioned are 3 of our top producers.
Oh, there you
they're
go.
awesome. As you've met them, you know that they're personable. I want people that have integrity. I want people that are going to be working with us, and then we'll move away from a transaction before it costs us our reputation. Because my mother is all about reputation and doing the right thing. So it's not about the money for us. It's what we love. We love to do it. Of course, making money is great. It's a great part of it. But it's really about providing a service. Valerie Levy & Associates is a household name in Jamaica as far as real estate is concerned. We go all over, and when people mention, my mom's name, they say, oh my gosh, the real estate lady. So that's sort of a reputation that we've had. So we just want agents who are hardworking, they're dedicated, they take pride in their profession. This is their career at the end of the day. So that's what we look for when we're looking at agents to employ to Valerie Levy & Associates.
Okay, fantastic. And so with that, like your mom seems like she was at the forefront, cutting edge of moving real estate in Jamaica forward, officializing it, if you will. And now the next generation, it seems like you are at the forefront of the new boom, if you will, that I would say, that what I would call a new boom that's happening in Kingston. And with that, what is, in your opinion, what is driving the boom that's happening in Kingston? And am I correct in calling it a boom, I should say?
I would definitely say there's a boom. I would say in the last about 5 years, in particular, we have not seen in as many years the amount of construction going on. You drive around Kingston, I don't know if it's the same in Negril, but every single corner has a different development going up, whether it's a high-rise, whether it's an apartment complex, a townhouse complex. They are all over the place. I think what really inspired people to start doing as much development is that we had an increase in people wanting to buy. We had for years we had very high interest rates. Mm-hmm. And the interest rates came down, the mortgage rates came down, and I think that really inspired people to start purchasing. I think people have really realized through our public education, through the RAJ and the REB, that real estate is the best way to go. It's the best investment. We also had our dollar sliding significantly, and people realized that the money was better in real estate than in the bank. We've also done extremely well with our stock markets over the years. Our Jamaican stock market is one of the most vibrant anywhere in the world. So people have been making money and saving money. A question I've had a lot during the pandemic was, how are people buying in the pandemic? But what I have to explain is that it's not just because of the pandemic. Like, people have been saving. They didn't make it during the pandemic.
Right.
A lot of people closed down businesses. They lost their job. People have been saving for years because of this. And now everybody's realizing as well, because of the pandemic, I'm calling them pandemic purchases. People are realizing that they want to be in a home. They want to have their own home. People are going back to single family homes where for many years people like the security of an apartment or a townhouse complex. People are realizing now that they want a home office, they want a home gym, they want a home where the children can play outside, they want their own personal space where they can entertain. So that has really pushed a lot of the sales in the last couple of years. We have a lot of inventory right now, as you can see.
Yeah.
But the mortgage rates being more affordable, as well as the NHT, they've increased the amount that you can borrow, and they've reduced the rate of interest. So I think that has also been a huge fueling factor in why the market is so vibrant right now.
And who is buying these places, the apartments, the townhouses, etc.?
That's a great question, because people do ask me that. We do have a lot of pension funds who have been securing properties for their pensions and spending money like that. They'd go into a complex and they would buy numerous different, multiple units in a development. But it's for their pension fund, and it's an investment. And everybody knows that real estate really is the best investment. It appreciates over time. We've also had young professionals coming out, doing dual mortgages with NHT and all the other banks that offer financing. And we've found that they're very savvy. The younger people, they really want to own real estate. They realize that paying rent to somebody, if they don't have to, they could put it towards a mortgage. So I think just public education of this has really come a long way. And we have found that people are definitely wanting to own their own properties. And I think that those have been a couple of the major factors.
Okay, so it seems like a multitude of factors from a macroeconomic standpoint down to the pandemic playing its role, and then you have I think also when you say young professionals, like that makes me like so proud. That's telling me that something is happening within Jamaica and within the country. Are there a lot of the diaspora, like, and when I say diaspora, really people who are retired, are getting to retirement? Are those a lot of the clients that you're seeing here?
We do have that. There's an aspect of people who are selling, who want to downsize. We have some of the older population who definitely want to downsize. So you find that those homes right now are coming up.
Okay.
We also have, as you said, the diaspora. Jamaicans are everywhere in the world. I don't think there's a country that we're not in.
Right.
And they love Jamaica. When we see the hits that we get on our website, they are literally from all over the world. When we get inquiries, people just in Jamaica, they miss home. They want to look on our website and look at the pictures and they miss home. We do have people who are also investing that way. They want a resort home in Jamaica. They want an apartment that they can come and stay at when they're here. They also are looking to invest in Jamaica, which is great. That's an amazing aspect of it for Jamaica, where overseas Jamaicans are investing back in the country. So we find that, yes, they're also coming back, and they're also purchasing properties here in Jamaica.
Okay, that's fantastic. That's good. That's good to know. And I have the same feeling with my channel, that there is this huge sense of pride, one, even if they're living abroad, and then two, there's this great love for Jamaica, and they feel almost compelled to come back and retire here. And there are mixed bags of reasons why some do and some don't, which I also find interesting. But is there a particular community or neighborhood that retirees go to in Kingston, or cluster, if you will?
Funnily enough, we have a lot of overseas Jamaicans who return and go to Mandeville.
Right.
Not sure what that is about, but maybe the weather. Mandeville is much cooler than Kingston is. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit more quiet, and not as much hustle and bustle as Kingston is, or maybe Montego Bay. But we do have a lot of returning residents who come down, and we find that they want something, especially if they're retiring, on the North Coast. They want a nice apartment. They want something on the ocean or near to it that they could walk, a pool, that sort of recreational setting. So a lot of people that come back, we find, not necessarily to Kingston, but we do sell all island and rent all island. So we have been able to find them their perfect retirement home.
I see. And I got a question from one of my subscribers, and they wanted to know, is there somewhere in Kingston, or where is the best place in Kingston that you get, obviously being in Kingston, but also that countryside feel? Does that exist here?
Somewhat.
Okay.
I would say somewhat. We don't really generally have a lot of properties in Kingston on the waterfront. Mm-hmm. That is coming back, as you've seen, the redevelopment of downtown, which is huge. That's a really big deal for Jamaica. Yep. I mean, anywhere else in the world, our harbourfront is the most expensive real estate on the island. Right. And in recent years, you've seen very large companies buying back buildings and renovating downtown. We're trying to get apartments down there as well. There's a specific one, Ocean Towers, that's down there that has always done well. We've seen a lot of turnaround in that. And by virtue of those recent sales, we've also found that people do Airbnb. And so that's also something that people who are investing want to know if they can do that. Not every complex will allow it, but that's a factor. If you go to the hills as well and buy an apartment or a townhouse or a house up there, you have the spectacular views. Most of them either back at the mountains or of the ocean. So that's probably as close as you'll get to a resort type feel.
Okay, gotcha. And speaking of downtown, would you say, I know there's obviously a tremendous amount of development happening in the general New Kingston area. Would you say the downtown area is the next frontier coming to Kingston as far as development?
I think so, definitely. Definitely. Commercial as well as residential wise. Okay. We've a lot of activity down there right now. Because
we were driving around there yesterday, and it's from an foundational infrastructure standpoint with the water. I mean, it's gorgeous, unbelievable. Yeah. And you can kind of see and foresee what this can kind of turn into.
And you can see the interest in people opening restaurants down there as well. That's a big deal. And stores, that shows you that people definitely, they're not afraid to go downtown. There has been a time in Jamaica where the violence, people wouldn't go downtown.
Right.
And now that is definitely changing for the better.
Yeah, I felt fine, safe, nothing, there was never an instance or a moment where I was like, I don't know about this kind of thing. But as that comes to our discussion, that is one of the things that people are concerned about is violence, not in Kingston or any particular area, just all over. And I have my rebuttals to those, and it's particularly someone or family thinking of retiring to Jamaica. That seems to be the biggest objection or concern. What do you say to people who bring that to your attention, who are thinking about it, but they're hesitant because of the quote unquote violence that's happening?
The violence in Jamaica right now is very serious.
Mm-hmm.
I know the government is definitely trying to combat it. And we have to remember that we all live here too. And we go about our daily lives. You try to be as careful as you can. There are many places in North America that I wouldn't go to for security reasons. So it's the same thing here. I wouldn't go to places that I've heard has an uptick in violence. A lot of it is gang related, or you have some domestic and that type of thing. So it's not specifically random all the time that you're just walking on the street and something happens, although something could happen.
Right.
So I would tell them that definitely when they're looking to purchase something, just ask some questions about the neighborhood, ask about the, crime in that area, and do their best to basically get something that is an area that is deemed to be a little bit more safe than others.
Right. And so the neighborhoods that I visited with Noel and with Tanya, they seemed like they were up and coming, or they are already pretty much there, or where you felt safe. And then on top of that, all of the developments, bar none, I want to say, they were all gated communities with security as well.
Right. So that's an aspect of it. So you can get it with security. There are so many different security systems. You can put in security cameras, an alarm system, but most of the developments that we have do come with a security guard, with a security gate, an electronic gate, and that has helped to let people feel comfortable.
Yes. And even driving around, we were all over Kingston the last 3 or 4 days, but there is, and especially when we go to restaurants, we've been to multiple different restaurants all around Kingston, there is a level of vibrancy that you feel. Even we're still in a pandemic, of course, and I wasn't expecting that, but you can kind of see and feel that. And when I get comments about concern about the crime, which is legitimate, but like you said, we're here, we're living our daily lives, and I just think in many respects, like the life here, the lifestyle here, it's very, very good. Negril is different from Kingston, and Kingston is different from Negril, but in the sense, it's Jamaica at the end of the day. And I think once people can, I guess, put measures in place within their lifestyle, that they can live a really healthy and beautiful and fulfilling life here. And I just encourage them to kind of open their minds to that.
No, I agree with that 100%. Jamaica is one of the most beautiful places in the world. I've traveled all over the world, and there's nowhere like home. Yes, we're in a pandemic, but I think people are pretty exhausted right now. They just want to get out. They want to socialize. They want to get back to life. And I've seen that. You've seen restaurants, clubs, places like that opening up. I'm not sure how it is in Negril right now. Of course, you'd have more tourists. We have more probably business-related tourists that come to Kingston. But everybody is ready. They're ready to get back out and live, and hopefully they're trying to be responsible at the same time.
Yep.
But yeah, we're getting back to normal slowly.
It seems like it. And moving slightly back to the developments, what I also learned, it wasn't necessarily surprising, but I guess I didn't wrap my head around it before coming to Kingston. But you realize that the developments are being done by individual developers. And to me, in my mind, that tells me that all of these individuals have confidence in the market, in the real estate market, and many of them have their different ways of financing, but nonetheless, they are putting hordes of money into real estate because they believe in this so much. And again, these are different pockets of people. It's not necessarily one conglomerate that's pushing this whole thing. And as you alluded to before, there's a multitude of reasons as to why this is being pushed. So the developers, in my mind, it's like they're building confidence in me, and then I'm also kind of bringing this to my audience and sharing it with them. It's like all these individual people are putting these tons of money into the real estate market, into Jamaica, and I guess it just gives me a lot of confidence that they're doing it, and they're not just doing one, they're doing multiple developments, which is also extremely interesting and building confidence in me as well. And so do they get this confidence from basically the same factors that you mentioned before?
They do. I mean, building costs have definitely gone up, especially in the pandemic, because it was hard to get certain supplies. but there is a demand. And so they are trying to fill that demand with the supply and the amount of inventory that we do have. There's great confidence in it. The economy, to show a good economy, you see the construction. If there's lots of construction going on in the country, it shows stability. It shows that the economy is booming. And we're no different here with this real estate boom, as you called it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
People have often asked me recently if it's a bubble and when is the bubble going to burst.
Right.
And any bubble can burst, but I do have confidence that for right now, we're still going to see the level of construction and sales that we have seen in the last 3, 4, 5 years. It's not stopping. People are still out there. They're making money. They want to spend it. And real estate is always the best investment that you could buy.
I agree. And this next question might be a little bit outside of your wheelhouse, but me being in the hospitality and hotel industry, I'm also seeing tons of foreign investment coming into Jamaica, both on large scale. You see in the news, like 1,000-room hotels are coming, they're already starting construction. You're seeing that. And then even on my level, so to speak, smaller hotels, you're seeing acquisitions of properties happening in Negril and being taken over by some by Jamaicans actually, and then some by foreigners as well. Do you know or think one is pushing the other, or they're all kind of pulling from the same factors, and again, with the confidence in the country and still continuing to invest?
I think that we have definitely some foreign investors and some local investors. Yes, I think they're pulling from the same thing, that Jamaica is vibrant.
Mm-hmm.
People want to come here as a destination, not just for real estate, but for leisure. They want to come here and spend their time. So they're finding that the hotels are still doing pretty well. A lot of them took a bad hit during the pandemic, but I see that they're coming back. And I just think that people love Jamaica. Foreigners love to invest in Jamaica. We have very large companies that come in here and buy real estate and invest in real estate, and also open companies, their own companies. There are lots of foreign companies here in Jamaica. But there's also a lot of local people who we see branching out as well and expanding. And with the more normal days coming, we see that locals as well are getting confidence back to do the same thing in the industry, not, as you said, in the music industry, in the entertainment industry, in the restaurant, in the culinary. People have really expanded. Jamaicans have really come a long way. When I see the amount of different things that are offered here now, for hotels, of course, Airbnb, that's something that we never had before. One of the hottest Airbnbs around is Trenchtown because of Bob Marley.
Oh, wow.
You can't even get an Airbnb down there right now because it's just constantly booked out. So that's just to show you how much people love Jamaica.
Okay, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
So what is the process of buying a home here in Kingston or throughout Jamaica?
Okay, so usually when we have people call in, we call them prospects. If we haven't done business with them yet, they're not yet clients. And we sort of try and do a pre-approval approach first before we take them anywhere. We don't want to waste their time. We don't want to waste our time.
Mm-hmm.
So we find out what money do they have saved, where they're getting their financing from. Will it be a cash transaction or financed? And then we basically, if it is financing that they're looking, if they don't already have somebody, we put them onto a rep at any of the institutions. We work with all the different banks and institutions. And of course, we ask if they subscribe to NHT, if they, are savers, and if they apply, and if they can get through as well with a NHT mortgage. And then we recommend a lot of them doing dual mortgages, where they take the NHT portion as well as something from another bank and put it together. So we just make sure. So when we do that, then we can establish how much money they can spend, which is really the first thing you should do, because when they call and say, well, I don't know how much I have. So we could be looking all over the place, because you could be starting at $20 million and you could be going up to $80 million. So where are you? Where do you fall in? What can you afford? What can you qualify to pay for a mortgage? Or if it is that they have cash, how much of that do you have to spend, And so we do that whole process with them first, a pre-approval. And then once we get that, then we start looking at properties. We lead them to our website and to the MLS and say, hey, look at properties, which ones do you like? And then we set up appointments. We take them and see them. Once they find one and identify one that they're happy with, they make an offer. Then the offer is submitted to the vendor, and that's part of the process. Also now, because we have the FID, and they scrutinize real estate heavily because of the amount of money laundering that goes through.
I'm sorry, what's the FID?
The Federal Investigation Department.
Okay.
So they monitor all that we do.
Okay.
You can imagine real estate would be a great way to launder money.
Right.
So the developers, the attorneys, the values, all of us, come under certain scrutiny. But the realtors more than anybody else. And so there are forms now called POCA forms, or CIF, which is the Prevention of Crime Act.
I see.
And they, no matter who is doing business with us, whether it's on the buying end, renting, selling, listing, they have to fill them out. It shows proof of funds, source of funds. It shows your identification, your proof of address. So we have to get your driver's license or a passport. We have to get a bill in your name to show that that's where you are. And if it's personal, if it's a corporate company buying a property, then there's a different form for that. There's a corporate one and a personal one for the clients. And then they fill those out and we keep them. And we have to keep them under lock and key by law. And if the FID or the real estate board want to come in and have a look at them, if they suspect any person that we've done business with to have been in anything illegal, then they're allowed to come and look at it at any minute of any day. So we have to make sure that every single person does those and does them properly.
So I think when some people hear that, they can be like, "Oh my gosh, this is
yeah."
But
it's a turn off. But if you don't want to do it, we won't do business with you, because that would be a red flag.
But I look at it as like, it's a bureaucratic process, but it also tells me and shows me the direction that Jamaica is moving in, and that we really are trying to be a country that is a leading country, as small as we are, and like this is kind of the theme that I've been getting in being here in Kingston, is like we want to be legitimized in so many different ways. And kudos to that process, right? Yeah. I think that's fantastic.
Definitely. We have lists and lists and lists of people that we check our prospects against. Wow. Just to make sure that they're legitimate and that we're not getting into business with anybody that's doing anything illegal.
I see nothing wrong with that, and I applaud the government for putting those measures in place, as annoying as it might be for some people.
A lot of people don't like it.
I think it's fine.
But it's kept it's completely private. It's all confidential. I mean, those papers don't go anywhere. Mm-hmm. We keep them under lock and key. Their information isn't given to anybody. It's not shared with anybody, not another company, not anybody. We don't share that information with attorneys, with absolutely no one.
Okay, and then so the process that you just described, would that be the same for somebody who's like, say, somebody from the diaspora who's moving back to Jamaica? That's the same exact process, same paperwork.
Same paperwork.
And would they have access to NHT as well?
Well, if they had been contributing, they would. But if not, then they wouldn't.
Okay. The process, everything you just said, seems again pretty straightforward, about getting pre-approval, and then what type of paperwork outside of the regulatory bodies of checking to make sure the source of funds are okay. What other paperwork would say somebody need to have to bring to the table?
You just have to have everything in order. I mean, if it is pay slips, if some people are doing a rental, reference letters from previous landlords, if it is that they're renting, just really to have all their banking information ready, so that we know that everything is legitimate and that they can afford whatever they're looking at.
Okay, excellent. And so shifting gears a little bit, we had made mention earlier about, or I should say, you made mention earlier about you're not sure what's happening in Negril compared to Kingston as far as development. There's nothing like this happening in Negril. I could tell you that right now. And that was part of the inspiration of me coming out here and doing this series, is that it's a head scratcher for me, for somebody who's been living in Negril 15, almost 16 years at this point, is why isn't, not necessarily the level of real estate that's happening out here, real estate development that's happening in Negril. Like, I don't necessarily expect that in Negril, but why don't we have an inkling of what's happening here? Like, why don't we have residential developments going on in Negril? And I can tell you, and anybody who has a business in Negril or has tried to get an apartment in Negril, we have a bit of a housing crisis. I know it sounds dramatic. It's hugely lacking. And we don't have a lot of modern housing in Negril. And as the country moves forward, and I think as the town of Negril moves forward, we want to attract the best and the brightest in the world, especially with the work from home phenomenon that's happening now. Right. And there's a certain level of comfort that somebody, say, from New York who's working for a tech company or a finance company is looking for in regards to accommodation. And again, unfortunately, Negril doesn't have this. And I don't know if you have the answer to this, but why aren't developers, Jamaican developers specifically, coming to Negril and investing in Negril?
I would say primarily because the majority of the population of Jamaica lives in Kingston.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, they have a wider market here. I think now that you've said this, I mean, there are definitely people who I know that are in development that I would say, hey, listen, Negril is lacking, you know, because definitely Montego Bay is also booming.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not too far from Negril,
Right.
right? So it'd be a great suggestion to them. But I just think that it's a population issue where most of the people are in Kingston. That's who they're servicing right now. But if they had an idea that it was such a demand in Negril, maybe they would definitely come to Negril and do a development.
Gotcha. Because it's a bit of a chicken and the egg situation. This is the way I look at it, is that Negril essentially has been built on tourism, and the accommodations, residential accommodations that we have there has been built for tourists. So typically, and this came to fruition with talking with Margaret, and we were just kind of talking back and forth and trying to figure out why this is happening. And so what we have come up with is that Negril was built on tourism and the accommodations were built for tourists and visitors. And so traditionally the accommodations were a bit rustic. They were surrounded by lush gardens, fruit trees, that sort of thing, which is lovely and nice. And people still want that. And I'm not saying that should go away. But now looking forward into the future for the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years, and we're trying to attract millennials, Generation Y, Generation Z, they are looking for a different type of accommodation. And in my mind, is like, the question is, do we bring industry outside of tourism to Negril to attract the developers to build the accommodations, or do we build the accommodations the modern accommodations that will bring the people, the entrepreneurs, the IT people that will drive industry through giving them somewhere to live? And that's kind of, and I don't know if that's the right question to be asking, but that's kind of where my mind has gone with the research I've done so far.
No, I think you're definitely right. I think that if we had the buildings there, people would come.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it would attract more people to come, because other than hotels and villas and the apartments that people rent out for a vacation stay,
Right.
It is lacking. It is definitely lacking. But I think we need to get more people down there and make them realize that, more businesses. And then I think that would make it more of a vibrant option for people to come and develop.
Okay, I'm working on it.
Yes, well,
I'm working on it.
that's good.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm just trying to bring a little bit more
That's
eyes
what we
to
need.
it.
We need
Yep.
young people like you to come in and try and, help make these suggestions and get people excited about it and come down there. you know.
Okay. And kind of moving outside of Negril, outside of Kingston, a little bit more broader Jamaica, are there other parts of Jamaica that you see as a good time now to invest, because in 5 or 10 years from now, it's going to be booming, so to speak?
I would say definitely with all the new highways and more going in, it has made it really possible for people to commute from different places. I know people who commute from Miami Bay, it drops you right there. The highway kind of drops you there. St. Anne, St. Mary, definitely a lot of development going on there as well. And people are buying those units, apartments, townhouses, things either on the ocean, near the ocean, houses, not just to rent out as an income, but to live in.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be a little outside of Kingston. We have a very vibrant market also in Portland. We have full-time agents down there, and they are super active. Like, there's a lot of things going on down there. And again, the same thing with just the highways. It's really opened up. Mandeville, Maypen, it's close. People can jump on and jump off and commute. So those areas, I would say, are areas to look at for sure.
And I've heard Portland from multiple people. I spoke with a personal finance expert in a recent interview I did, and she was really harping about Portland. And I know there is a highway that's being built there, right?
Yes.
So was the elevated interest in Portland before the highway, or is it because of the highway?
It was before, but up and coming because people knew the highway was coming.
I see.
And there's going to be like a new aerodrome down there. The cruise ships are going there as well. Not sure that's a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, because definitely we have to look at the environment and pollution and stuff like that, as well as it just being such a secret jewel, really. A lot of tourists go there, but they tend to go to Otrios, Montego Bay, or Negril. A very special tourist goes to Portland. They know it, they like it. It's, lush, and it's a lot of rain, and it's gorgeous in Portland. There's lots of different things to see, lots of different attractions, but definitely on the real estate, and people are finding out that it's going to be closer, and there's just definitely a lot of activity down there.
Okay. And so where do you see Jamaica as a whole being, and specifically in the real estate market, in the next 10 years? And then you can be specific to Kingston as well if you'd like.
I still see us being in great demand. I still see people wanting to come back. I think what the pandemic has shown everybody is that they really want to come home. Also, even just in the States, with the politics, with all the different things that's going on overseas, people really want to come back to Jamaica. I don't see that stopping right now. I still see the market being extremely active. I think at some point, people who are buying for investment might see a little downturn in the rental market, renting them back, because there are so many units. So we've seen that we have a lot of inventory right now, where people bought not to necessarily to live in, but to rent out back as an investment. So I think that might take a little bit of a downturn, as far as people might have to reduce prices to get these units rented, just because there's so many of them. But overall, I just see us still continuing. I see the economy still booming. Of course, prices around the world, oil, and we have to bring in different materials for construction, and that might go up, and we see gas prices going up.
Right.
We see chicken being short and things. I think it's going to take not just Jamaica, but the world, a little time to kind of just recoup itself and get back to normal from what we've been seeing in the pandemic.
Okay. And say if somebody had $300,000 to $500,000 US burning a hole in their pocket,
Right.
where would you advise them to put that money as an investment? Where would you say is a good place to invest?
Right now, I would either say to buy a condominium in Kingston or something in Otrios. I'm just thinking of specific complexes, or even in Montego Bay. And these are all things that we have currently on the market. And I think probably like a 2-bedroom, I would probably be able to get a 3-bedroom unit, beautiful on the ocean, in a complex with pool and different amenities. They all attract a monthly maintenance, but that's what I would advise them to buy.
And for people who are wanting to have been a part of the boom that's happening here, specifically in Kingston, is it too late for them to be a part of that boom?
No, not at all. It's never too late. And I would say to get in now, because definitely prices could go up a bit based on just the building material costs.
Okay. All right.
No, wait. Buy today.
By today.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. So with that, I know there are people who are going to have tons of questions and who are going to want to reach out, because I think I learned so much today sitting here with you. Where and how can people contact you?
You can contact me. You can go through our website, which is www.vlarealtors.com, or my email address is lorraine@vlarealtors.com. So they can feel free. They can call our offices, 876-931-4471, and I'll be happy to chat with any of them, take any questions anybody might have.
Okay, fantastic. So with that, Lorraine, I almost called you Valerie, which is that's my mom's name too.
Really?
Yeah.
It would be a compliment.
Okay.
So,
well, Lorraine, thank you so much for taking the time out today and sitting with me. I know you're super, super busy, so I really do appreciate you taking the time.
thank you. This has been interesting, and it's been educational for me as well. And I appreciate you taking out the time to interview me.
Okay, awesome. And for you out there, I hope you learned a little something today. I know I did. And if you found any value at all in our discussion today, consider hitting that subscribe button. And I will see you all in the next one. Peace.